So I'm here with top Los Angeles DUI defense lawyer John Murray. And John, I know that one of the big issues in DUI defense right now, and certainly something that you've had a lot of success with, is this whole idea of people with GERD or acid reflux who take a breath test after getting stopped, and investigated for DUI.
Yes, I have.
And I know that that these machines, they're supposed to measure alcohol that's in the deep lung tissue, right?
Right, it's called the alveoli. If you look at the airways, starting from the back of the throat down in the deepest part of the lung, it looks like a beautiful coral. At the very end of those airways, you're going to find what's called alveoli sacs, and that's where the blood exchanges oxygen and anything in the blood comes back through the lungs and out in aspiration, of course.
So basically, the machine, it's not designed to measure alcohol that's in your mouth or in your throat, but really sort of alcohol that's down here in the very base of the lungs.
Right. Actually, the device itself is actually calibrated to only test the deep lung air, and if you're not testing that deep lung air, it's essentially a miss by these devices.
And therein lies the problem. If somebody has GERD or acid reflux, then that's not exactly what happens, right?
Exactly. What ends up happening is when somebody does have GERD and they're breathing into these devices and they're taking these long exhales, it pushes on the diaphragm, it pushes on the stomach. And if there's anything in that stomach, like alcohol, it's going to come out with that breath, exhaled breath, go into that device, and it's going to throw everything out of whack. And the problem is it's always going to throw it out of whack in the positive. So it's going to always artificially raise that result.
I mean, give me an example. So suppose somebody is suffering from GERD, they get stopped, they take a DUI breath test, and this happens, that sort of alcohol is sort of regurgitated. Sure. And they sort of blow out this mouth alcohol. What could we see in terms of the numbers, in terms of sort of what their BAC truly is versus what the machine will say?
Sure. You know what? Let's start with an innocent person. So somebody goes out there and they drink responsibly, and maybe they have like 1 beer or 2 beers, but they're suffering from GERD, and they breathe into this device after being stopped by an officer, and the device could go as high as a 0.15, 0.20, or even higher, because the breath devices sample a very small amount of breath sample. It's going to completely throw off that result.
So somebody who's basically sober, had 1 drink, 0.02, 0.03 BAC, is perfectly legal to drive at that point, but still the machine will make it look like the person was really drunk.
Yeah, it could make them look falling over drunk, even though many times we've seen these videos in these cases where the officers take these videos, they're doing everything but falling down drunk. They look completely sober on these videos, but the contamination effects makes them look on a device falling down drunk, unfortunately.
So when you have a situation where, it looks like the person is sober and they tell you, I only had 1 drink, 2 drinks, yet they register a real high BAC on the test, and one of the first things you think about is, could GERD be a factor here?
Definitely, especially if they have heartburn, or they have a burning in the back of their throat, or if they constantly feel like they have to keep swallowing, like there's something back there. Those are perfect signs of GERD. And it's kind of funny you say that, Neil, because the guy that has 1 or 2 drinks and tells the officer he had 1 to 2 drinks, most officers right off the bat are going to say, okay, that means 12. And that's the problem with many of these cases.
The police are cynical. They don't really understand the sort of biology here. They don't understand the way that GERD can impact these machines.
And they will ride these breath test devices right off a cliff.